We have our response areas for mouse input sample open here to talk a little bit about slide subobject names and why you would want to change them. Now anytime you click on a subobject in an open slide, its name appears in the drop-down menu of the toolbar. In this case, the name is image 1. And when you use the hit test method of the slide object, this is what gets returned. So in other words, when you're running this script here, the hit test method takes the mouse cursor position and determines which subobject was clicked, and then assigns this to the strHit variable. And in this experiment, we're using strHit to log this subobject name in the data file. Now, usually referring to these subobjects as image1 or text1 is not going to be very useful, so you're going to want to rename them to something that's more descriptive. Now, the trick to this is that the name property does not appear in the property pages for the subobject, so you actually have to use the properties window. So to do this, you just click on the subobject you want to rename, and you go up to the View menu and click Properties. This opens a Properties window, and at the top you'll see the name property. So you just click on this field and type in the new name you want to use. And we're going to use Q in this case because this is going to display an arrow Q for this experiment. Now when you hit Enter, you'll see that the name is changed up in the drop-down menu. So when we run this experiment, whatever subobject we click is going to be displayed in the feedback. So now that we've changed this to Q, when we click on the center subobject, our feedback will say that we clicked on the Q. So there you go. So that's all there is to it. Now the thing to keep in mind is this also applies when you're using the ePrime extensions for Toby, because the Toby input that you're getting, the eye gaze data, is actually going to be converted to an X cursor and a Y cursor position. So it's essentially exactly the same as mouse input. So when you're using the hit test method, you can plug in the X and Y position of the gaze data just like you would the mouse input. So just like everything else in your experiment, all of your objects and all of your subobjects, you should always use as descriptive names because this helps you not only when you're looking at your own data to determine what areas were clicked by a mouse or what areas were looked at by the subject's eyes, but it also helps when somebody else is looking at your experiment because they may not know what image 1 refers to, but they would know, they'd have a better idea of what Q refers to, for example. So just in general, you should always use descriptive names for any object or subobject in your experiment.